Holy Smite in the Resurrect Priest, and Sacrificial Pact in the Galakrond Warlock.
Yeah.
He does not want Demon Hunters to win.
He is rewarded with a rematch against Fr0zen in the losers bracket finals here of Group A. So that is going to be interesting to see if it ends up panning out the same way. I think part of the issue for lnguagehackr seemed like he was just a little bit off every single time from stabilizing, and he kind of would die. And another thing worth evaluating is, is Fr0zen's lineup harder for lnguagehackr to handle? Because it's got a little bit of everything. It's got that spell druid, it's got like a slower priest, it's got a fast demon hunter, and it's got a defense. So it's kind of hard to nail down exactly what Fr0zen's lineup is weak against. I feel like it's kind of pretty balanced across the board.
Yeah, I feel like the one weak spot is that the Tempo Demon Hunter, but Fr0zen's even bringing like the Questing Adventurer Mana Burn version of it, which can snowball out of control against a priest. Their removal options are much more limited. So, but we'll see. But Fr0zen barely got across the finish line with his Tempo Demon Hunter the last time these guys matched up. So I think that's kind of the weak point, and lnguagehackr just has to hope that he can, at the very least, beat that Demon Hunter 3 times. But with it being arguably the strongest deck in the metagame at the moment, or at least the strongest class in the metagame at the moment, is that something you can reasonably do? If your other matchups are weaker, can you assume that you're going to be able to beat a Demon Hunter 3 times in a row? It's the conquest conundrum, Dan.
Yes. We're not going to like try to pretend here and like sit as if we're going to understand the all of their key choices for what their decks are, but we can kind of outline the strengths and weaknesses of it. lnguagehackr very clearly trying to target the Demon Hunter. Fr0zen has been banning a multitude of different decks, but one thing that's interesting is that lnguagehackr doesn't have Demon Hunter in his lineup. And I think that is probably one of the more confusing lineups to go up against, because it's a no Demon Hunter, target Demon Hunter lineup, which I think most people weren't really expecting, since Demon Hunter was one of the most popular brings of this event. Another thing was like whether or not people would be basing their strategies off of Warlock to try and defeat the Demon Hunter. And I was talking to Hunter Ace, and he was saying that in his practice group, they were even talking about whether or not Warlock was good, like as a deck, period. And so there was, there's a lot of interesting ideas, and I think like a lot of players sometimes echo a little bit too often what other players are saying that they really trust, and so you have to really be able to think critically during these early days of the expansion about what is actually good versus what's just your biased opinion because of what you've seen.
Yeah. And sometimes just go with your gut, right? If you're playing something and it feels good, even if like some of your peers think that it's not good, just do it. Just play it and figure it out from there, right? A lot of these players have been playing for a very long time, and sometimes you just know something's good. You don't know why it's good. You know something's good, and you figure it out along the way.
Right.
And that's kind of some of the risks you have to take.
Right. And, to be fair, I think it was Casper Hunter Ace was saying like the big reason why was because all of the people in the practice group are just like Spell Druid and OTK Demon Hunter players. So, they were like saying, well, yeah, of course Warlock sucks because they just like farm Warlock like nonstop.
Yeah.
But when you look at a concentrated tournament field and there's like a bunch of other classes to consider, it seems like Warlock has been holding its weight. So I'm curious, and whether or not lnguagehackr will adapt his ban strategy, the jury is out on that. So I guess we'll find out momentarily. But we're going to take just a little bit of time to let the players get set up. I don't believe we're going to a commercial break, but we're just getting ready to have their bans be reported in. And it looks like they are in. So Fr0zen is going to ban the priest, and lnguagehackr is indeed banning that warlock.
Yeah, same bans as the first time around.
Same bans as the first time around, and once again, we're going to get 6 different classes played in this series, TJ. Demon Hunter, Druid, and Priest, and then Mage, Warlock, and Warrior.
Yeah, that's it was exciting last time, and Yeah, again, it looks like that Demon Hunter. These decks seem to be made to kind of target that Demon Hunter, and if Fr0zen can get a win with that, I feel like he's in good shape since his Druid and Priest will tend to have a good time. I feel like against most of these decks. So that's the weak point. I think that's kind of what we should focus on, especially since the margins were so close last time for Fr0zen to win with his Demon Hunter. He got it over the Warrior, and he had exact lethal a turn before lnguagehackr was going to go off with Armorsmith. Yeah. So we shall see.
I heard a "Your soul shall be mine" quote from the game, so that heavily implies
they're doing a practice match with their band deck.
I think. I thought lnguagehackr was playing the Warlock.
No, that was a "Your soul shall be mine" from Fr0zen. They do their practice match to make sure that we have both their feeds with their band decks.
Totally makes sense. My question mark once more in this head-to-head will be if the mage can beat that hunter. I'm still not sure if mage is consistent enough to take down tempo demon hunter of any kind, and if it can't, will it be able to beat things like the druid and the priest, which feels like it has a much better chance versus. So even though lnguagehackr has like I'm going to try to see if I can corner demon hunter, I feel like the mage is incidentally better against the druid and the priest in this series here.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a possibility. We talked a little bit about some of the earlier tools that mage has now to combat demon hunter, but sometimes all the early tools in the world are not enough because they are going to draw an aggressive curve quite consistently, and you need your tools on time to consistently beat him. So, lnguagehackr going to start off with mage, and Fr0zen going to start off with priest. So this is a perfect opportunity for lnguagehackr to get a win with that mage right off the bat, so then he can worry about his targeting of the demon hunter afterwards, and kind of get out of his mind the possibility of his mage maybe being a weak spot against that deck.
Yeah, well, if you are going to approach this matchup, I do think the Amazing Reno probably is one of the more important cards. When he makes minions disappear, it works very similarly to I guess there's not really an effect kind of like Reno, is there, in the game? But he effectively silences and destroys the minions. But it's
not even, because Silence and Destroy, they're still in the Resurrect pool.
Right, exactly. That's what I was about to say. There's nothing like Amazing Reno in the game.
Discard, kind of I guess.
Yeah.
It's like sap plus discard.
Yeah, the closest thing would probably be Exile in other games, where it's like you try to just remove it from play and there's no way to resummon it back and ever have it played again. So it's a cool card to play against a Resurrect deck, to say the least.
Yeah.
lnguagehackr does not want to kill that Albatross. That is bad news.
I was gonna say Amazing Reno's a good card to play against those Resurrect decks, but Albatross is a great card to play against the Highlander decks. Until you draw those Albatross, your Highlander cards are shut off.
Right, and there's a way that you can potentially get around it if you find a polymorph off this Malygos. Malygos offers you upgraded spells. It does not find it.
And because of that, we'll have to dump the coin. Probably Flame Strike.
Yeah, Flame Strike just seems like universally like the best card to pick up. I wonder if Fireball's ever worth having because he has things like Alexstrasza's in the hand.
Yeah.
Like finish the game. And end it. Malygos' Tome doesn't feel particularly important here. I think that The reason to pick it up is because you have all these expensive cards, and Malygos Tome might fill up your mana slots or mana crystals, but the problem is that you have such a full hand that you won't really be able to capitalize off Malygos Tome.
So he values the coin over a random card in his deck.
Because he's going to coin Reno.
I guess so. That's probably the plan. Well, let's see what it is. Alright.
So what's the play here, right? That's the big question. I don't think you want to start accepting all this damage.
Dragoncaster Blizzard?
Yeah, this is 9 damage per turn. I think Dragoncaster and Clear of some kind is good. Okay, looks like he ends up going for the Flame Strike. So yes, all of those are in the Resurrect pool. But the good thing about those being in the Resurrect pool now, or multiple units dying, is that it's not guaranteed for an Albatross if we choose to Resurrect it.
But early Galakrond for Fr0zen means that he's going to be able to keep hero powering and starting to generate a lot of that value.
And he's going to need it because his hand looking very reactive and kind of weak.
Yeah.
Psychopomp.
Nice.
Wow. Psychopomp can immediately summon back that Albatross and make Language Hacker's life super difficult. Okay. It summons back the Kartut Defender, which already has Reborn, so it doesn't actually do much.
Yeah. That's one of the rougher ones. Like Convincing Infiltrator would have been fantastic, I think. Just because it would shut off Language Hacker's plays his plays for a couple turns. This is awkward. There's just not really good stuff for Language Hacker to play. He doesn't want to coin Alexstrasza because he's not capitalizing on the additional setting him to 15, especially with healing already on board. Can coin Dragon Queen Alexstrasza, but it's just a 9-mana 8/8 because there's 2 Albatross in his deck, so he doesn't get the effect. So just gonna build up a board full of a ragtag group of minions and say, all right, go.
Yeah, just gonna use his mana crystals here and just get tempo onto the board. Start to threaten the priest and make them play stuff as well. Wow, Fr0zen just getting some pretty solid stuff here. Off his hero power, Tempo Enforcer is a pretty sizable minion and gives a ton of stats.
Yeah.
Hey, now that he drew Albatross,
ooh,
he actually has all the Highlander stuff activated.
Yeah.
Is it worth going for it right now?
This seems like it's a Reno turn. I wonder. Just because I feel like this is one of those turns where you want to build a big enough board. Like if you hit, then Reno, that's exactly 10 health on the board. Then you can ping off and push the 5. This is a big enough board to where Fr0zen can't ignore it. But it's not like Dragon Queen Alexstrasza big where he would just remove it and you'd be playing too heavy into removal. So, and just those breakpoints were clean. Like one trade with Kartut, 10 health exactly on board plus a ping. Like that's just a clean Reno where you otherwise wouldn't get it. Ooh, Plague of Death. Is it worth it though?
This doesn't seem like a particularly powerful board to use it upon, but it still represents a lot. It's 13 damage. And with the threat of Alexstrasza, might put you within critical range here. Thanos plus the Breath of the Infinite plus a Holy Nova does clear off most of this.
Yeah.
So Language Hacker can now finally use his Dragon Queen Alexstrasza. Finds Fr0zen?
Nice.
what does that mean in this context? You just deal a bunch of AoE damage. It's not really that useful right now.
Yeah, but I think you probably save it for like a Mass Resurrect turn.
Right.
They Mass Resurrect, you Mass Resurrect, and then you're back to square one. I would be inclined to hold on to it.
The benefit of playing Fr0zen is you set up a 2-turn lethal if your opponent isn't answering.
No, that's true. That's true, actually.
Oh, and he plays it down now, so he draws a card, which is fun. Oh. And then he Holy Novus to deal
it back up.
3 or deal 2 damage to nothing.
Yeah. Alright, so there's the Plague of Death. That's the only one, at least naturally, in Fr0zen's deck. So has to rely on some other stuff to get the ball rolling. Probably a Conjurer's Calling on this. So Counterspell would be the best just spell in a nutshell. He could just set up Counterspell.
I think Conjurer's Calling feels better to me.
Yeah, it does.
Ooh.
That's...
I take that back. That does not feel good to me.
No.
If he does play this Twin Tyrant, he has 13 power on the board. Still not enough for any kind of lethal opportunity.
Yeah, I think you just hold like this and hope that you can get some value trades plus Conch Calling again next turn. Because then you can set up Counterspell with it. You could even like Twin Tyrant or Twin Tyrants plus Conjurer's Calling next turn and set up Counterspell. So I think you just hold now. This is enough to contest whatever he's going to play next turn.
Makes sense to me. Now Fr0zen.
He could Conjurer's Calling the opponent's minions.
Oh, wait.
What? What?
What? Wait, he got an Octosari, and he played the Calicos. Oh my gosh! And he can play another one.
That was really risky. That was only 1 in 3 to Conjurer's Calling his own minion.
Okay, so he. Oh, no, wait. Let's think. He can Shadowy Figure and then Conjurer's Calling the Shadowy Figure. Okay, Grave Rune makes sense. Oh wait, but the Reno makes everything disappear.
Yeah, this is going to be a Reno turn.
Jeez, what happened? This escalated so quickly.
But that was... I don't know. I guess he had to take the risk, right? There was no other play that he could have made to be defensive. He could have just, like, Psychopop Mana Saber.
Right.
But at a certain point, he would have had to take a risk to build a board. And I think that was the turn.
Wait, lnguagehackr wants to kill his Octosari, right?
Yeah, kill the Octosari and then Reno. And so then he can develop a Twin Tyrant. If he wants. I don't know if he even wants to. Alright, let's see what gets burned here. Master Spell, Psychopop.
Oh no, Priest might not have enough time anymore. Mage can just play it slow.
Yeah. Now I think lnguagehackr's game plan has shifted from try and set up a board to kill him with Alexstrasza to just outlast him.
I don't know. Grave Rune Shadowy Figure is still very good.
Yes, it is.
That's still a ton of stuff. And you just used your arena. That was your definitive board clear. Oh gosh. Okay.
Oh, jeez. Because now he can't even Twin Tyrant, because then he might just summon 2 idiots. Well, he can. So what he has to do is Twin Tyrant, Conjurer's Calling, and Blizzard, and then try and set up a 2-turn lead with Alexstrasza next turn?
You think this is your time? It is
yeah, sounds like it. Oh!
Well, that's 16 technically.
Yeah, but you know your opponent is likely to clear that.
Yeah. Alright, he's still okay, Dan, because he still has a puzzle box in his deck.
Right.
And he still has the random spell from Reno every turn.
Right.
Which can actually cast puzzle box as well. So
yeah.
He also has the Astromancer, Solarian, which can then get the Prime, which is kind of like a puzzle box, a miniature puzzle box. But that's if he lasts that long, because right now it doesn't even look like he's going to
True.
live.
This is looking tough.
Oh!
Nova, but not enough. And he needs to like power of creation and like taunt. He needs to like power of creation, coin, overconfident orc.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Wow.
It's gotta be Gyrocopter, right? No, is it Sunwalker? No, Master Spell's gonna wreck you. It's gotta be Gyrocopter.
He saw Master Spell burned.
Right, but he's also getting to the point where if he knows there's 2 Master Spell in the deck,
It's very likely,
it's
yeah.
super likely that he has it at this point because he's drawn 26 cards.
Yeah. And he'll have drawn 27 going into the next turn. It's pretty likely. Gyrocopter allows him to take 14 damage off the board. Alright, so he goes for that. Smart.
Yeah, he's got to. It's so annoying that he doesn't have enough health to trade into 2 of these or 3 of these minions, but yeah. Go for a coin play. He's debating between Counterspell and the Taunt.
Honestly, I would have played the Albatross, I think. Just because he can't heal the 5/1. Either it would heal 8 because he would trade over the 8/2, or it would trade over the 5/1 the next turn.
That's fair, but he also...
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh my
gosh! What?
Oh my goodness! I think...
Yeah, that'll do it.
Hacker's like, oh my gosh, how do I deal with this? And the answer is... Unleash the Beast.
Unleash the Beast! All right,
This
so
game
all
has
these
had a lot of swings back and forth.
all these things keep him alive.
If I could just cast that.
Okay, so Flame Ward, yes, right? Flame Ward and...
And what?
Flame Ward and we, like, kill the one of the Murzond? The 8 attack, probably? I don't know.
Yeah, but then it summons 2 more Murazons.
Oh, right. It's not the... I'm thinking about the Reborn effect and not the Grave Rune. Jeez.
Yeah. That's the issue.
Oh, you're so right.
Like,
that's so annoying.
The best play is to,
Holy
I
cow.
think, is to Flame Ward, pass. Right? Or Flame Ward, develop, pass. Like, Flame Ward, Unleash the Beast, Albatross, pass. Actually, he doesn't want to Flame Ward because then it puts more power on board. He doesn't want to Flame Ward yet because then it gives Fr0zen the opportunity to put more power on board.
All right. That counterspell was pretty big, but shouldn't really stop Fr0zen's momentum here.
Basically, lnguagehackr just trying to buy enough time to get Puzzle Box.
Right, or Reno to do something big.
Yeah. But at this point, I don't even think Reno can do anything big enough.
Nope.
Yeah,
I mean,
dead.
He had an opportunity to like Blizzard and freeze the board, or like Frost Nova, maybe Twisting Nether.
Yeah, Frost Nova would have been like the only one because Twisting Nether still added 16 power to the board.
Yeah, you're right.
Or still took away some from the board, but also added 16 power back.
That's it.
Dead.
What a back and forth game, but Fr0zen is going to take game number 1 off the back of his priest and just kind of, like we said, improvising a win condition.
Yeah, improvising a win condition and getting some good outcomes to help him along the way. Like that Murazond with the Conjurer's Calling loaded up could have just backfired completely. He would have been it was 99% likely that he would have died because he would have Conjurer's Calling a 10 drop, which they only had to give across 2 10 drops 11 power. And that's if it Conjurer's Calling the bad target. on this other side.
Yeah,
for Alex Strauss to kill him. So
that Murzon was insane, and that was some pretty big brain plays. Because I think that if Fr0zen didn't do that, could he have won the game? Possibly. It felt like that was a risk that he took to try and potentially swing the game because Mage was in a dominant position from there.
Yeah, and then there's also the argument of, did lnguagehackr have to kill the Octosari? Because that gave Fr0zen a lot more resources to work with, a lot more options. Could he have just poofed the Octosari and then played an honest game from that point on, right? Instead of trying to rely on outlasting? Who knows? Like, that's a lot of crazy things happened that game, and randomly generated shadowy figures and random spells being cast. I don't know. That's a weird one.
Yeah. Well, either way, we're going to take a final day as we are in our last series, series number 5. And when we come back, we're going to resume the conclusion of Fr0zen versus lnguagehackr. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hearthstone Grandmasters is brought to you by T-Mobile, helping you stay connected to what matters most. Learn about T-Mobile's COVID-19 response on T-Mobile.com.
Welcome back, everybody, to the final stretch of Hearthstone Grandmasters kickoff day for the Americas. We have Fr0zen and lnguagehackr. Coming up is game number 2 after Fr0zen won a pretty fun back and forth Priest versus Mage matchup, which I'm sure that if you went back and broke down certain intervals of the game, that there was a lot of interesting what-if questions that I wish we could answer. But for now, the most important takeaway is that Fr0zen's up 1-0. And that the Mage deck from lnguagehackr, I thought was better suited against things like Druid and Priest, and yet it dropped versus the Priest. But perhaps Fr0zen knew that and took a big risk with things like that Fr0zen, which got him the win.
Yeah, that we're kind of been focusing on the weak points in each player's lineup as the story of this matchup in general. The Mage being a weak point for lnguagehackr, whereas the Demon Hunter, based on the lineups from their opponents. But we'll see how it's going to pan out. lnguagehackr is going to switch gears here and go on the Warlock. And Fr0zen's going to queue up his Druid, the Spell Druid.
Spell Druid versus the Warlock. I always feel like the Warlock is struggling against the Druid because it can't really clear efficiently, but maybe lnguagehackr can find a way to stabilize if there's a very, very slow opening from Fr0zen. A lot of times this Druid deck, the pacing of it is so uneven from game to game. Sometimes this deck is super hot and just runs like crazy, and then just like on turn 4 or 5 starts overwhelming you with the Glowfly Swarm and Soul of the Forest, and you can't really answer it. And in some games, it doesn't play anything till like turn 9, which is like kind of wild to me, like how big of a range that this deck has. But at the same time, I think that's why a lot of players enjoy playing it because there's a big difference that you have to adapt to based off the way your hand is panning out. So I think, Spell Druid, even though it is extremely swinging and probably a little bit too good relative to how powerful Kael'thas is, it is a very fun deck to play, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is. Any of those explosive decks are very fun to play. I'm curious if Kael'thas can work in any other deck. I just don't think there's enough decks with as cheap spells, enough 0-mana spells to get it going. 0-mana spells combined with expensive spells, but we'll see over the course of the next couple weeks / couple months what ends up propping up. I know Kael'thas has been in for a little bit longer than that, but I'm sure with the new cards, there's been some stuff that has not been experimented with yet. That could be. So there's the Glowfly Swarm on 4 with the coin, and Fr0zen even has another one to back it up. So this has to be a very calculated move here from lnguagehackr. He could go the Dragon Blight Cultist plus Plague of Flames. That would clear off everything but 1. He could go Double Rain of Fire. That would clear off both.
Does it feel too much of a ways to go for Double Rain of Fire? You absolutely do want to clear off most, if not all of this, but
he could develop behind it though with Dragonblight Cultist.
Okay.
That's like my tap if you wanted to. That's my argument for it. He has to deal with it somehow. And it looks like that's going to be leave it up.
He has to deal with it somehow. I guess he's just going to go the old-fashioned way, which is...
okay, he has to sack back. I was going to say he dies to Saboteur Power of the Wild. I'm pretty sure if he leaves this up.
Yeah, he's aware of what he could possibly die to, and I think that's a risk worth taking. Given that some of his Rain of Fire is like one of his better cards against this deck.
Yeah. But it also has a very limited use. Because at a certain point, it'll become useless, right? After the second Glowfly Swarm is used, its use becomes much more limited. Whereas it's not going to really do much to pick apart an exotic Mount Seller board. So you do need to get use out of it before it's too late.
And with the pressure coming in from Druid, too late might be soon.
Yeah.
Okay. And, you know, I totally get it, too. A lot of times when you're evaluating if the play is correct or not, you really have to evaluate also the state of the game of, like, what your opponent's trying to do. I think a lot of times people just say to themselves, does this look good? If yes, then do it. But you have to also think about, like, what Fr0zen is trying to do himself, and, like, what is he communicating by saying, like, oh, I'm just gonna, like, play like a card, like rapid pass, you know?
Yeah.
And so in this case, Fr0zen's just ready to go again, and lnguagehackr immediately
Well,
leans
I mean,
back in his chair.
he ended up using it anyway, right?
Right.
Like, and had to use like his sacrificial packs to keep him alive, and I don't know. Could have had like a clear board, and then develop a Dragonblight Cultist developed into the next Glowfly Swarm board to make it a lot easier to clear that off.
Because
like he could have followed that up with Shield of Galakron, Plague of Flames, and then would have had both Glowfly Swarms in check. Where now he doesn't. And even beyond that, there's a Force Aid with an Innervate in Fr0zen's hand. So if this board does get removed by, like, if for lnguagehackr had like Crazed Netherwing, he had something loaded up beyond that. So gonna have to tap. Ugh.
this is looking bad. I'm really not sure. I think he has to do something to clear off this board. He does have those Plague of Flames, and I think he's got to act quick. Otherwise, he is like guaranteed to die pretty much.
Yeah, but this doesn't feel good. Plague of Flames is usually that removal that you have a clean board going into the next turn. Oftentimes you can develop behind it because you play a cheap development, Plague of Flames, and then you have mana left because the removal is so clean. But here's the Mount Seller, and lnguagehackr just kind of throwing his hands up the sky like, does he ever run out of threats?
Nope.
He's 12 cards into his deck, had both Glowfly Swarms, and now the exotic Mount Seller with cheap spells on 7.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of want to make this Glowfly Swarm more, or this Glowfly more resilient to a Crazed Netherwing. If it were to get drawn off the top, because right now that's about the only way that Fr0zen, it feels like Fr0zen can lose it.
Yeah, you can just see the face of pain from lnguagehackr, just kind of willingly accept the fate. I don't think there's much that can be done here.
Yep.
And with this, it seems like lnguagehackr has been shoved out of this game. I don't even think if he could pick the next card off the top of his deck, he would be able to get out of the situation. Crazed Netherwing and Nether Breath does help. And there is a percentage chance that he can get the Plague of Flames off and kill the Mount Seller.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the play here, DJ?
You Crazed Netherwing, Nether Breath, the Glowfly, the 3/5.
You know, what about the Porcupine so you can absorb some of the damage? I guess it's the same either way. Here we go.
Yep.
It's just that kind of game for lnguagehackr. Fr0zen had the goods, and lnguagehackr was not ready to accept.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready to receive, so to speak.
Yeah.
So game 2 very quickly ends in Fr0zen's favor, and I gotta say that Fr0zen, even though Demon Hunter is the targeted deck for lnguagehackr, it's still tough to try and win 3 of those games. If you talk about like just the math, you would have to be the overwhelming favorite in 3 different matchups in order to even come out even to be like slightly favored against Fr0zen to win this series.
I think it's 87%. You'd have to be 87% favored in a matchup to come out to be able to beat it 3 times in a row with above a 50% chance.
I can do that quick math here. I mean, 87% does make you favored, yes.
Like, yeah, I'd say so.
It's a much higher than 50% win rate, but it is you are correct, TJ. Technically.
Well, 87% across to be favored to beat it three times in a row.
Yeah, 80%. Yes, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. 87% is asking for a lot.
No, I think that's it. Well, I had someone did the math one time. I don't know. It wasn't me. That's for sure.
Well, if you just take the 0.8 and just multiply it to the third, it's 51%. So
yes, indeed.
So that
good,
and
good point, Fr0zen.
Let's clarify.
Indubitably.
Let's clarify that there are very few matchups that ever have been 80-20 that have been tournament viable.
And then, Dan, you round it up, and that's 87%.
If you round to the nearest 87th percent, you are absolutely correct, TJ. But
yes.
you're like I said, your statement still stands. Like you said, you have to be 87% favorite, and then you'll be favored. I'm like, you are correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could also be 92% favored.
Yes. Could also be 93% favored.
Wow. Yeah, that's true.
lnguagehackr with the double sack pack draw. Wow, that is great draw. I think you would want to use at least one of them.
Just unload them both.
Sure. I mean, stop his momentum while you can.
Yeah.
I think it's because both are threats in their own right. And Fr0zen with a swing and a miss. And that's why you want to stop it, because now you can develop your own board here. lnguagehackr, with this Devoted Maniac, Shield of Galakrond, and Galakrond in hand, looks like he is going to crush the Demon Hunter.
Yeah, this is how it's supposed to go.
Is there a chance for Fr0zen to pull this away? Sort of, yes.
Well, the mana burn. lnguagehackr does have a way to answer this, but it would just be an unactivated Nether Breath at the moment. Which is not necessarily something that he's happy to part ways with. But that's Altruist that was just used to pretty much clear the board. Oh, see, now it's activated. Look at that.
Yep. And I think lnguagehackr is like benefiting from the other end of the previous game, which is seems like things are falling his way. Fr0zen does not have a target for the I-Beam, so he's kind of hoping secretly that lnguagehackr plays something so he can I-Beam and then go for the Skull of Gul'dan.
Immortal just keep cycling. I like that.
Just needs to get deeper into his deck.
Yeah.
Okay,
so Veiled Worshipper's active. Galakrond's at the next Invoke level. So he's at the 2 demon level. And Crazy Netherwing is also active. So lnguagehackr has plenty of options here. Going into the next turn.
And Fr0zen's going to use these Warglaives to be able to push the taunt down. Not that he needed to, but he can attack the face as well and put 5 damage of pressure.
Oh, I feel like that's a pretty good draw. That allows him to clear off this Cane while still being able to Veiled Worshipper. He could Veiled Worshipper, though, and if he hits Nether Breath, the second Nether Breath, then he'd be good.
And Dark Skies, of course, counts itself.
Back to that. Definitely counts itself.
TJ, our job is to provide commentary. Not everybody knows that, even though they should.
Yeah, well, because it just I was explaining this because I had not even read the card text. I just played the card and figured it out. I thought it was like every other like spells that counts your hand, where it dealt the damage of the cards that were in your hand after. But it does, but Dark Skies will always deal 1, whereas some things won't deal 1 immediately, right?
Right.
Like some things will literally do nothing if you use them without the required thing, like or an empty hand. It's very similar to Twilight Drake. That's can always be played. It's always a 4/1. It doesn't automatically die when you play it with an empty hand. It's just weak. So it's 1 plus the amount of cards in your hand after you play it. Also known as it counts itself.
that is true. This has got to be intimidating for Language Hacker. Craze Netherwing deals 3 damage to yourself, and that's never a good feeling.
He does have the Fr0zen Shadow Weaver, so that'll block the damage coming from his face. He's seen Altruist. The only thing he'd be afraid of there would be Metamorphosis, but he has ways to heal beyond that, right? So I think he's feeling all right. Just needs to find a way to heal next turn, which he has Galakrond. So
is there a way for Fr0zen to sneak this through? Oh my goodness! Oh wow! And the mana burn.
Well, it doesn't block Galakrond from being able to come down.
But you know, Fr0zen's still trying to see if he can find a way to get through. The Galakrond is big deal, gaining 5 armor.
And summon 2 demons, because he's got Fr0zen down to 14. So if these are relatively large, that is almost a lethal setup. That is 2 damage short.
Now Fr0zen has to start thinking, do I remove the minions? And he looks like he does.
Yeah, he would die to 2nd Craze Netherwing, he would die to Nether Breath.
Give me a quest. They will never catch me.
That's it, but still, it's only 12 cards left. This does build quite a big board.
Quite a big board, but not too difficult for Language Hacker to remove everything here. He's got a clear through the Rain of Fire, Mortal Coil, Devoted Maniac. Any combination of that should be good enough here. And I think that Language Hacker, while Fr0zen gave it a pretty good run for its money, is going to stabilize here. He does damage himself, but not
but he plays a Shield of Galakrond to block against whatever else could come out.
Yeah. So now with Fr0zen, I think he's just out of options here.
Yeah, no Altruists. He does have Metamorphosis in the deck, I believe. Yep, there it is. But outside of that, there's just no way for him to deal direct damage. No Keen to push through Taunt. No Altruist to try and clear the board to prevent lethal. So he's just out of it. And maybe it starts. Maybe the how Language Hacker's deck or his lineup was seeming like it was designed to function to kind of target those very fast and aggressive Demon Hunters. Maybe it'll actually be able to do that. He takes, I think, the easiest of the 3 with Warlock.
Air quote.
Yeah, it's still not easy, as you can see. He needed like both sack packs early on in the game to just prevent snowballing out of control. And even then, Fr0zen still had like some game up until the very end, right? The Fr0zen Shadow Weaver blocked like the extra glaive damage from being able to go to face at a crucial time. That's still difficult, but the easiest one of the bunch, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say that Warlock is the strongest favorite against Demon Hunter, and then the rest is like an 86% TJ, if I were to use a number to describe how favored it is.
Yeah, if you round up, that's 87.
True. Going to game number 4, we have the Warrior coming up here. Language Hacker. Language Hacker's kind of been bearing a lot of his emotions a lot more on his face. Almost resembling purple in a way. It feels relatively expressive in the same vein. And I wonder if that's a Canadian thing. Wonder if that's just because that's what Hearthstone does to you at the highest
over
level.
Time. Yeah.
Over time, you're just like, oh my god, he's got the juice. He's got the goods. Man, what do you keep here if you're Language Hacker? You could almost convince me to keep almost that entire hand. He ends up throwing away the Armor Smith and the Bloodsworn Mercenary, but I was like slightly tempted to think about it, you know?
Yeah, I think thing away for Sky Raider, Corsair Cache, and Bomb Wrangler. Those are the 3 that you want. Sword and Board's there for the Battle Fiend, but the Bomb Wrangler, the Corsair Cache are the 2 that kind of get the ball rolling on the deck. That's what you want.
Well, Language Hacker drew the live wire land. Seems like he is never destined to draw Anchor for the rest of his career.
It feels like this is how every turn 3 has been for Fr0zen when he's played this deck.
I know.
He deals 4, he summons a Battle Fiend,
Oh my God.
and
2 Fell Wings, though.
and he plays a Fellwing. This time, though, he does get the extra
That is
Fellwing. And the
silly.
Mana Burn! Oh, the Mana Burn! Oh, all he can do is Sorted Board.
Oh, poor language hacker. I'm sorry to laugh at another human suffering, but it is also like, I mean, we've seen this happen so often.
Yeah.
And if you are wondering why Demon Hunter may need some corrective nerfs, well, see Exhibit A.
Yeah.
But yes, also I see people incorrectly mulligan a lot in that they're not trying to get Fellwing as hard as they should be because it's just so impactful.
Yeah.
Fr0zen's like shaking his head like, I'm just not drawing anything good here. It's like you drew like
Come on,
everything
man.
else.
That's literally the perfect curve free. I guess he didn't have a 1. He didn't have the first
Right.
Battle Fiend on
Right.
Battle Fiend on 1.
That's true. That's true.
So
And despite all this, language hacker's still hanging in there, and also in Fr0zen's defense, he did need to draw something there.
yeah.
Twin Slice was probably one of the weakest draws.
So Language Hacker could have coined out Sword and Board last turn to take out the 1/1, but I guess he wanted to just kind of see if Fr0zen was going to play another like bigger minion.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, Sassy Decking could be used as some nice little removal.
Prime.
If he draws that, turn 8 and beyond, the game ends.
Yes.
10 armor is way too much to
Oh
come back
my-
from usually for Demon Hunter.
The moment he draws Altruist, he is going to pop off.
What if he never draws it?
I mean, that is a possibility, yes. Language Hacker can Bloodsword Mercenary double the chances of Kargoth Prime coming out here. South Sea Deckhand.
I'm surprised he didn't Battle Rage there.
He really wanted hero power.
He could have... Oh yeah, that's true. He's at... I mean, Fr0zen's still chipping away. He's got 4 burst damage from hand. 5.
He's
count the
really
hero power.
hoping for this Altruist. There's 10 damage, 10, 14, 16, 19... Oh, finds the armor smith.
I mean, that saves him against Altruist.
Right,
And he sets up a 2-turn lethal.
right.
I'm inclined to play it.
Yes, because it's like clearly Fr0zen is hoping for something like Altruist to
Yeah.
end the game. And Fr0zen is locked out. Wow, after a blistering start, completely gassing out. And it is not a sprint. It's not a sprint. It is indeed a marathon. We're going to game number 5 to determine who is going to move on to Sunday to play for the championship of the week. And I kind of really thought that all momentum was on Fr0zen's side, but I mean, there's some poetic justice in the fact that Language Hacker kind of just got the worst end of the first 3 turns, and then all of a sudden just like had the best 3 turns afterwards against Fr0zen's really awful 3 turns.
Yeah. But that's kind of what the deck is designed to do, I think, is have like those big swing turns where against aggressive strategies, right?
Yeah.
Where you have a lot of stuff to be able to just kind of fight back.
Right.
The Armor Smith Risky Skipper combo being kind of the main one. Didn't even need that though. The Restless Mummy plus the Sword and Boards ended up being enough.
This felt like a deck building victory to me for that game number 4. Language Hacker having Sword and Board to just shut down the early game aggression, like that's something that is entirely within your control as a player in
Yep.
this series. So if Language Hacker ends up winning the series 3-2, I would have to say that it was obviously a great mix of play and foresight, but also good deck building. I mean, that's what it comes down to. And alternatively,
Dan. Dan, I think Language Hacker's dead.
Well, hold on. This is like the 13% of the 87 team.
Yep, there you go.
This is,
now
this
you
is
guys
the
can see it.
Double Fellwing.
Uh,
The good news is that Fr0zen doesn't have a way to summon both those Fellwings next turn.
no, he does. He has the coin.
Oh.
Oh, he can
found
just
the
double
twin
twin slice
slice.
and double Fellwing. Oh my god. Okay, this game is
What?
over. Oh, jeez.
Do you think Language Hacker gets to play a card this game?
No, he does not. And
wow.
Language Hacker knows. Yep, there it is.
Oh no. He's so upset, and I would be too.
This is turn 2. This is turn 2.
Okay. Okay, he drew a 4-mana minion.
He may get to play a card this game.
If Fr0zen
Fr0zen
whiffs-
drops Mana Burn.
Right. If Fr0zen draws mana, but if Fr0zen whiffs 2 draws in a row, which is possible, not likely, but possible. Okay, that looks like a metamorphosis.
All right, that's one.
So
Yep.
if he draws Bone Wraith and Fr0zen doesn't draw anything else, there is a very small modicum of a chance this game can turn around. Very, very small. Whoa, okay. Nope, that doesn't really do enough here. It
He
does
has
not
to-
do enough. Is it Sacrificial Pact?
No, he has to get Shadow or Death.
Shadow or Death, yeah.
What?
Does Zephyrus not realize that Shadow or Death is 2 mana? Zephyrus has to go back to school and get his degree again. Oh no! This was not the plan! He didn't. I mean, Sacrificial Pact is great, but I think he wanted something else.
Well, if he whiffs again, then Rolling Fireball clears next turn. Oh, he didn't whiff, Dan.
Oh no. Okay.
All right,
That's-
Rolling Fireball still is good.
That's manageable?
Yeah, Rolling Fireball still clears.
Right. Now there's the problem of...
Oh no, it doesn't clear because the one... he needs 1 extra damage.
Absolutely brutal. And I think with that metamorphosis, it's all but guaranteed at this point.
Yeah, he needs to...
Mana burn!
Even if he drew Dragon Caster next turn, he wouldn't even be able to cast Puzzle Box because he doesn't have a dragon in hand.
Yep. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
And quite the unceremonious end to what a great losers bracket run here from Language Hacker. But it looks like Fr0zen will get the first and the last laugh of the 2 meetings and will advance to Sunday. It was a very good effort on both ends, but the day does belong to Fr0zen, as he is able to earn redemption after losing to Bloody Face. And, you know, Language Hacker made a great first impression for his initial run in Hearthstone Grandmasters. But at the same time, if you look at who advanced through, Fr0zen and Bloodyface, these are 2 of the most consistent performers in Hearthstone Grandmasters in America's region over the past season, 2 seasons, and 1 day. So it shouldn't be surprising to once again see these 2 players go through.
Yeah, no, not surprised at all. And, you know, it's a bold strategy to come in and, you know, try and target like aggressive or tempo Demon Hunter strategies like he did. And he got close, right? He 2-1'd it. He 2-1's Demon Hunter in this series. It was just his other decks, like going up against Fr0zen's other decks that, you know, kind of failed him. And it was very close. Like a couple mana off or damage off in some instances could have been the difference. Like the Conjurer's Calling, taking the 2 and 3 or 1 and 3 that Fr0zen did. That goes different. All of a sudden, the series looks different. So, the finest of margins he lost by, and that should, you know, be a good indicator of kind of sits in the current Grandmasters landscape. At least after week 1, I would still consider him, you know, well into the top half based on his performance.
Yep. Overall, well done. Props to Bloodyface, who just kind of played his series and didn't really break a sweat. He is 8-1 on the weekend. Fr0zen getting the 2 wins and a loss. He is 7-3, so 2 very worthy opponents showing up and once again doing well, as TJ was mentioned throughout the history. And heart goes out to lnguagehackr, but if he keeps his chin up, eventually things are going to fall his way. And he still, like we said, collected 3 points for making it to the top 8, along with ETC. For tomorrow, we're going to have America's Group B participate, and I got to tell you that I love Bloodyface, Fr0zen, ETC, and lnguagehackr, but this group is straight fire, or if you are empanizado, is straight fuego. It is so fun to watch Muzzy and Saiyan kind of battle against each other, but they also have Eddie, who's one of the top performers in the Americas over the past 2.5 years. And then you have Empanizado, a new challenger to the throne. So some old blood and some new blood. Even though Empanazado's been around for quite some time, we've even seen him in the HCT Championship. It's just great to see other people who are hungry for a chance to contend for that crown. So I am really looking forward to tomorrow, TJ.
Yeah, it should be great. We're going to get to see a little bit of diversity in lineups as well. Maybe some more decks that we didn't get to see as much of today. More Bomb Warrior and more combo Demon Hunter, I feel, in the lineups for tomorrow than there was today. Bloodyface had the only Bomb Warrior, and the only combo Demon Hunter, but I think 2 or 3 of the players have both of those decks in their lineups going in tomorrow. So should be fun. Love watching those decks and getting to see a little bit of different stuff. Like I said, those small pockets of the metagame that we get to see with the group play and playing out a full double elimination group in a day. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, and it feels like it's a little bit more cohesive. I think in the past when we had the round robin group, it was just like a different story, a different match every single time, and we had to almost like re-rack. But now, as you watch throughout Grandmasters, you just leave it up on your screen, or perhaps you're fully engaged in memeing in the chat with all of us. You're kind of seeing how the storyline plays itself, right? Like the second time around, Fr0zen and lnguagehackr, does it end up changing? Well, a little bit, but ultimately still lands the same, and you get to see more lineups match up against each other in that fashion, which is pretty fun. Mm-hmm. So with that, TJ, our first day of Grandmasters is in the books. Any thoughts?
Whew. Well, first thought, we did it. I think
right.
A lot of people were worried just about, getting through the first day of broadcast, not only for Americas, but also for Asia Pacific and Europe, since we're kind of capping off the day. And Asia Pacific is live in 6 hours, 7 hours, back again for day 2. But shout out to everybody behind the scenes that worked a lot, many, sleepless nights and, working around the clock to try and make sure that we could put something out there. And, we put something good out there, I feel. And it's going to improve week to week. And like I said at the beginning of the broadcast, I'm just excited to be watching competitive Hearthstone again, especially in this metagame with how explosive it is in more ways than one. It's just fun. And doing it with you, Dan, always a pleasure.
Thanks, buddy. It's the first of many days ahead of us at our time here at Hearthstone Grandmasters. And so this is where we stop for now, but tomorrow we will pick it up with Asia Pacific, and that's in 8 hours or so. So for people who want to watch all of the high-level Hearthstone and cheer on their favorite players and, basically even go back and watch everything, it's right here at Hearthstone Esports on the YouTube channel. And if you missed any part of this broadcast, you always can go to playhearthstone.com/esports to find out all the standings and the deck lists, and perhaps even find out how the schedule is going to pan out for the rest of the season, because it is a little bit confusing if you are coming from the previous year of Grandmasters. We've changed up a lot of stuff, so highly encourage you, once again, playhearthstone.com/esports. But that's it from us. So from DJ and from Fr0zen and everybody else here on the Hearthstone Esports team, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time for more Hearthstone action.